Hello, dear viewer, and welcome to Bergkamp Wonderland. We are officially an Arsenal podcast again. Oh, praise the OG Canada. It's all down to him and his wise words and that beard and all of his cats. Might be just one cat. I'm drifting already. Right, with us tonight we have, first of all, H-I-J. We have Josh with J-O. You're right, Josh.
Thank you, Danny. I'm glad you managed to work your way through the alphabet to work that one out. I can't wait for you to get to the next bit, though, because you're going to have to work between the same letter.
No, because you kept talking, and now I know an A comes before an R, especially an arse. Talking of arses, it's Karl. All right, Karl and Kris.
I guess the issue is, why did you use your fingers to use for the alphabet?
Because I've got socks on.
How are you, Daniel?
I am very good, Carlos. I nearly tweeted the picture, not tweeted out people, I nearly tweeted the picture today of me and you.
Just, it's me and you. That's all they need to know. He was in a very compromising position. And
all I'm going to say, there was bro hugs going on. He hugged me, he squeezed me, after me waiting there for 20 minutes because he didn't know where I was. And he's going to be the regular.
You flipping told me the wrong place.
It's not my fault. I don't know where I was. I'm lucky I turned up. I'm lucky I wasn't outside Highbury asking where the hell you were. Oh dear. Moving on to it's at least your Captain Shipbeard. That's John, isn't it? It's the cheeky pirate, the one who when he did the Goonaholic tribute thing had a seagull in the background. Only Kris could manage that. All right, cheeky.
Yeah, I'm right. I finished a run and I was like, you reminded me I needed to record it, and I thought that is a good time to do it right now. And the seagull made an appearance, so yeah, it was good. Nice pod as well. Nice to listen to, and
it was.
Yeah, it was good.
Some very nice replies back from people, which was really important. And David's family messaged Jace, and Jace shared the message in our WhatsApp group, and that was really nice. Yeah. A fine fitting thing show. Right, we are now. We've got a kind of sponsor. We said to them. I saw that John from the Miami podcast retweeted their post, and I thought, well, that looks really good. I just retweeted it and said that's stunning. And they said, look, if you'd like to do some kind of collaboration, we can give you some stuff. I said, I don't want any stuff. We do it for free. That's the kind of guys we are. We're kind of groovy guys. So, first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to share a screen. And then I'm going to go to a Chrome tab, and then I'm going to go to this one, and then I'm going to share. Look at those people. You can, I'll just make sure you lot can see it. Yeah, you can see here, they do a range of merchandise that has diagrams, because if you're listening to this, has like a top-down view, and it'll have little circles for the players, and then it'll have the players' names and parts on the pitch. And this one is Perez into the box, and then Vieira must have come up, passed it back to Perez, and then Perez has put it in the... put it in the back of the net. And this is the Invincible mug. So the little bit of writing that I've got. It's a Father's Day giveaway. Unlike Mother's Day, we all celebrate Father's Day on the same day, which is important for this to work. We have partnered up with Playbook Product to give away one of these greatest Arsenal mug play to 4 separate people. Now, you can all have the same mug, and you can all have different mugs, and it could be in the US or you can be in the UK. Doesn't matter. They normally have these on their website for 20 quid each. So that's $20 each. That's really good. They do 5 versions of the mug. The Invincibles, one of the gold from there. It's up for grabs now, the Michael Thomas winner. Our first major trophy, I think, was the FA Cup in 1930. The first double in 71. And the 0.099 goal difference in 1989. So I think that's the Anfield one again. So what you have to do, you have to go to our Twitter account, and we've got a pinned tweet for this podcast. And if you get 1 entry into the draw if you like it, and you get 5 entries if you retweet it. Remember, we're getting nothing out of this other than helping people. We've got a really nice product. So their website is playbookproducts.co.uk or playbookproducts.com. And if you don't win, you can still go to their website. If you buy something, use the code GOONERDAD2020. Don't write the number 2, for God's sake. And you get 15% discount when you buy something. But they've only just recently set up a UK website, so some of the things aren't available in the UK at the moment. So we'll put all of this information and the links. So just go to their website and type in Arsenal in the search bar, and it brings up a whole load of stuff. And we'll have this on all of our usual social media things. So now I'm going to go, and if I change it to this one, has it changed the picture?
No,
yes.
It hasn't.
No, I thought it did. No, I didn't.
No.
Okay.
Still the same mug.
Yes.
No, that's just Danny.
We
Cheeky. I can't remember how you. I think you have to stop, and then you go. You get rid of that one, and you go here, and you go share screen again. And I'm going to go and share this one randomly. Which one is this? The goal difference one starts off on the right hand side. We all know how this went. It's Dixon gave the ball to Smith. Smith did the pass all the way through the middle of the box in front of Grobbler, and Mickey Thomas came in and pinged it bottom right hand corner, then did a somersault. And then that's what one part of the mug says, and the back of it will be the Thomas saying goal 90 plus 1 minutes, the date, the ground, and the score. So that's another good one. And so
it doesn't get many mentions in Arsenal folklore, does it either? So it's a good thing to promote at this stage.
it is. Try number 10. Oh, there we go. The first double. 1971, Wembley. It says that on one side, Arsenal 2, Liverpool 1. And then it's got a whole load of people on the pitch and goals and zigzag lines and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I think it's really clever. So I'm now going to go and show you a quick look at their website because they've got some nice stuff on there. There we go. So you can see that. This is what got me. Look at those placemats. Do you see them? Those ones on the left are slate and the other ones are leather, which are really nice. And I thought that is a really good idea. Then they do posters of the important goals. Stop coming up with you. I don't want that. Baby grows. I don't think we need any of those. They do bags. It's up for grabs now. A bag. That's lovely. And that's
on the back of the 89 baby grows that say I was there.
I see you from here.
I'm surprised they don't do T-shirts. Maybe they do on page 2. Anyway, you've seen enough of that. Go and support them. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say the 2 blokes who run it are actually Gooners. I'm not sure if that's okay. If that's not okay, it was a lie. But they told me they're both Gooners. That's partly why I agreed to do it. You've got to go and help out your small businesses, and I think they're just starting out. And it's really, really good, and I like it. So, go and find the pin tweet, retweet it or like it, and then you get entries. And then 4 of you could each win 1 mug each. And remember, you get the 15% if you type in Gooner Dad 20. God, that was official, wasn't it? How did they manage to do that and not mess it up?
You did rather well there.
Well done, Daniel.
I think I did.
It can only be downhill from here now, Danny.
No, it won't be because we typed it all by one question at a time. So first thing we want to talk about, we'll start off with you, Karl. How do you feel about football coming back? Is it too soon?
The world is a crazy place at the moment. It really is. There's obviously a load of things going on, and but I guess the reason why football stopped was because of this crazy virus. In the world, we still haven't got a handle over it. I think at the moment we're still in England, at least we're still on at least 300 deaths a day, and this virus is really spreading and killing people, which is not nice. I think the steps that the Premier League are taking to bring football back is very good. The testing of the players, the coach and staff, everyone within the clubs, and they are getting the positive results and getting the people to isolate. That's a good thing. As long as we can still be safe and bring football back, then I guess it's a good thing. I was very reluctant. I'll be very honest with you. If you'd asked me this maybe 3 weeks ago, I would have told you, no way, it shouldn't come back because life is worth more than people kicking a football about. I can understand the reason why, and I don't agree with the reason why football's coming back because mostly it's about money. There's no way to get around that. It really is. It's not about trying to decide league titles. It's not about trying to lift the nations, as some people say. It's not about that. It's all about money. It's about, because if we don't complete the season, then obviously the likes of Sky won't give football clubs money. And obviously we know that football is a very fragile sport when it comes to finances, and some clubs are literally, living hand to mouth, and that's very silly to say when you've got players at clubs are earning millions and millions of pounds a year. But there are some football clubs that are living hand to mouth, so they really do need the money that comes in from TV rights and league placements and things like that. And it's going to be very weird. Like the atmosphere is going to be very weird within the grounds. And I know today or this week they had crowd noises at some of the German games, which I really did like, because it made you feel like, you know, the crowd were there. You kind of forgot about it. But it coming back, as long as it's done safely and we don't rest on our laurels and we keep testing these players, because what we don't want is, you know, to stop testing these players, someone gets it, and all it takes is a prominent figure to get it. I know, like, because if you think about it, the reason why it stopped was Mikel Arteta got it, because the day before he announced that he was going to get it, we was going to play, I think it was Sheffield United, or was it Man City? I can't remember who was going to play. We was going to play Man City, and it's only when, thank you, Josh, and it's only when Arteta come out and said, "Oh, I've got coronavirus," that's when people start to think, "Oh shit, we need to start taking this seriously. We need to stop." But for me, as long as it's done carefully and we just keep on testing these players, because that's, you know, even in society, we just need to keep testing, and, you know, if these players start to, you know, if 1 or 2 or 3 players start to get it, then obviously we need to rethink it. But like I said, as long as it's redone safely, then I have no problem with football coming back.
Anyone else?
Same as Karl, to be honest. I'm kind of happy to see it back from a perspective of, as much as it's been great seeing football in general back, it's nice to see my team coming back to the field. What the viewing, or how it would be like to actually watch Arsenal back playing, the eeriness of the empty stadium, or the dire performances we know that the Arsenal can put out. That, you know, there could be a couple of reasons why it wouldn't necessarily be an enjoyable watch, but overall, I'm kind of just happy to kind of see it coming back. It's like a sense of normality, and to be honest, I think with the system we've kind of got in place, it's not going to be perfect. But to be honest, with the kind of stories of how long it might take us to get a vaccine in place, we're talking kind of like, 18 months before we could see technically like football coming back. And that just seems pretty mad. But if we can do it in a controllable way, I'm kind of happy to see it plan out. And hopefully there's some planning in place for it as well, for the, you know, exceptional circumstances where players end up, you know, unfortunately getting coronavirus and what happens there with them. It's a
weird thing the way you're working at the moment. Karl has no choice but to go to work because he's a frontline person and he runs the underground, as we all know. Me and Kris don't work, but Josh, you're working from home now. So are you not?
No, I'm furloughed.
Oh, you were?
No, I was. I'm now furloughed, so I'm not working at all.
And it's weird.
At the moment.
You are?
As in I'm doing some printing work from home at the moment.
I thought you were going to say chatterbait. I was worried there for a second. But the point, before you say what you think about it, Kris, I was just thinking, Josh, that we've now seen that the world has gone, actually, everybody can work from home. And like my friend Anna started a new job, and she said, I started my new job on the 23rd of March. I've been in once to pick up a laptop. I've never even met the people that I work with. And I think the future could be, that's how, for pollution-wise, for Karl with the underground and public transport. But the point is with football, they're showing games on BBC, and are ITV getting some games? Could this be the future where they're going, you know what, this 3 o'clock kickoff and that's showing no football on TV, but during a 3 o'clock kickoff, this could be the time we go, well, actually, let's change it like the rest of the world do, because I think that would be an important thing, because then you won't have to have so many people going to football, because football's now shown they can survive without having people at the ground. So maybe it's going to help it by going, we can show all the games on TV now. Do you think that could be the future, Josh? Because it's the sort of thing you see. Yeah,
it would certainly be, like, I'm not expecting to go back to my office physically once I come back off furlough for at least 18 months or so. But whilst social distancing is still in place, I don't expect to be going back to the physical office unless for meetings and things like that. But otherwise, it'll be working remotely. So, I get what you mean. When they dropped the 3 o'clock kickoff thing for Saturdays for not showing live TV in the UK, should say around the world, everyone else didn't have that kind of restrictions in place, but I could see it, not coming back, because they did that really early on as well. They lifted that restriction more or less like a couple of weeks after football stopped. It kind of went under the radar that this had happened.
But if you notice what they've done, what they're doing, I don't think there is any 3 o'clock kickoffs. They're like 2:45 and 2:30 instead of 3 o'clock. So that makes it that they can show those sort of games. So they haven't really lifted the restrictions. They just changed the times ever so slightly.
Yeah, I think because they weren't allowed to ever show football at 3 o'clock, even if. Remember, it used to, who was it that had not Satanta? It was one of them, the one that was owned by an old Leeds United guy, but tried to do it with El Clasico, didn't he? Because that kicked off at 2:30 and just kept the broadcast going into like 3:15 before they just shut it down and said that you can't do this, even though it doesn't kick off. You can't do it.
In the UK, we're not allowed to see any games from anywhere in the world at 3 o'clock.
Yeah, no. So even if it was Bundesliga, doesn't matter. That's why El Clasico was kind of moved away from the 2:30 slot, or 2:30 slot for the UK, so they could show it over here. But with that kind of lifted, I think it will kind of sort us out in terms of there's not going to be many opportunities for us to go back to a ground, irrespective of what level. You know, we could certainly social distance in some grounds better than others. I'm sure there's the token Man City joke that I'm sure that crowd could socially distance already. But in terms of what we see in the wider sense of football, even in the lower divisions, they're going to have to find a way of not, without only dealing with people coming through the gates. And it might be just a different way of season ticketing, that they're going to be streaming games instead. A bit like what Sunderland's reasoning why they're not refunding season tickets was because they're streaming all the games. So you're still going to attend. You're still going to be there. So we're going to give you access to the games that way. And we'll see a more open broadcasting. But whether or not we get more free to air, I think it's almost a token kind of thing, because BBC didn't get a choice of what matches they're showing. They're getting, basically they're getting the bottom of the barrel, same as Amazon. This was here you go, you've got 4 games, and they've said they're not even going to put it behind the Prime paywall. They're going to be free to air as well, as long as you can stream off Amazon. You can get those games, because it'll be someone like Palace versus Bournemouth, or
didn't BBC their first game? I think BBC's first game is like Palace versus Norwich. So it's a game that's not going to have a huge viewership in it. Yeah, it's great for the BBC that we're going to get free to air Premiership football for 4 games. You're going to see it. You're going to go, oh great, that's 4 game. It's a game I might watch, but to be honest, with the way the kickoff times are, you'll go, there's a more exciting game somewhere else.
Chris, this is the longest you've ever gone on the podcast about talking. Before you answer what your thoughts on all of this lot are, Karl made an interesting point about the finances and clubs rely on finances. Are you going to winkle Josh into doing a football hipsters about lower league English football and how they're going to, the possible future of no one being able to go? Don't say no, because I thought it then.
I mean, yeah, we probably will. We are due to pod again quite soon, so I think we're going to discuss things in a wider issue.
On all of that lot?
Well, I mean, I'm slightly different to the other guys. I still don't think that there should be any football anywhere right now. I still think it's madness. The thing that I watched Dortmund's Hertha before we came online today, and as Karl said, the one thing that I did notice straight away was they were pumping crowd noise in, and I did a double take actually at first, because I was like, I was really surprised. Like, what, they let fans in? I didn't realize it was being pumped in, and it did improve it slightly. It did, but it still doesn't feel normal. Well, obviously it's not normal. Of course it's not, but it still doesn't feel. It's not the game I fell in love with years ago. It's just not. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel. It feels forced. I think that's the word I'm going to use. Forced, and I know that. When Arsenal play, I'll watch, and God bless the fact that I don't have to get stick from people for not watching streamed games anymore. That's a blessing in disguise. I will watch, and of course I want us to do well. And if we were to fluke into 5th or 4th place, fantastic. And who knows, we might end up with an FA Cup as well. You just never know. This season might end up being quite good for us. but it just doesn't feel right. It feels very hollow. I've got quite strong views on what the government in the UK have done. I feel a little bit like, I think Karl shares my view on this one. I feel a little bit like a guinea pig in this country at the moment. I feel like I'm one of many millions that are being, for want of a better phrase, taken the piss out of by those in power over here, because I just feel like I feel like the government didn't make the change, or didn't stand by the changes that they should have done. And I feel like they were pushed into this decision, like Karl said and Josh said, on money. The whole excuse of, we want to give the country some normality back, I think is just the weakest of weak excuses you could get. I love my football, but I was managing just fine without it, and I would continue to have done so if that hadn't been an option. And I just feel that we are all the guinea pigs now. In a sense, we're just being tested to see, is this going to be a second wave? Are we going to be all buggered? And basically, if there is a second wave, the government can then enforce stronger measures and say, look, we told you, and you all couldn't behave and you all couldn't do these things. And then they will come out looking like the good guys. And I feel like sport is going to be very much guinea piggy as well in that regard, because I still feel like if we end up, again, like Karl was saying and Josh was saying, if we do get one or two cases, particularly if it's a high profile player, or we get a very high profile player refusing to play, like N'Golo Kante did originally. Obviously, that's changed, but I think when that happens, or if that happens, this whole debate is going to rage all over again. And the same at Championship level, and the same in Italy. I think there's a bit of discussion about how they're going to continue if it happens. So personally, I'm not as enthused maybe as the other guys, and I'm, of course I'll always support my club. That's what we do. But am I excited about it? Am I sort of counting the days? No, not really. And am I enjoying watching football at the moment when it's not what I would call real? No, I'm not. I'm really not. And the only saving grace is that we can look back at this and say Liverpool didn't really win the league, did they? But that's the only saving grace. It just doesn't feel right to me. And until you've got the fans are what make a club at the end of the day. And I don't feel like it's the real game we're getting back at this stage.
I think what we also need to do is the fans need to play their part as well. We all know that Liverpool are going to win the title, albeit, however they do it. And what we don't want is fans turning up at games. And, we can just foresee this, like the North London derby. You just know there's going to be some dickheads that are going to turn up at the ground outside. The same with, I've seen stories about the Merseyside derby, because that's the game that they can potentially win the league, unless we beat when we beat Man City. I think they could win it before then. But if we don't beat Man City, I think it's the Merseyside derby, they could potentially win the league. And you just know that the dirty Scousers, and I'm sorry anyone listening who's a Scouser, but I'm sorry, the dirty ones are going to turn up at the ground, and you just know that they're going to mingle and things like that. And it's just like, as fans, we need to play our part as well. Like Kris said, as much as I want football back, and I do want football back, I don't personally think it should be back, but that's my personal opinion. But what we need to do as fans is make sure that we don't ruin it. And, when Liverpool win the league, we don't want them having street parties. And as much as they're going to want to, and by all means, I could totally understand, but they need to play their part as well, because you just know they are. You just know they're going to be out in full street parties, all dancing around Anfield, throwing bins in the air and all sorts like that. And just think, please don't. But it's going to happen. And then what happens then when, this magical R rate goes above 1, which it probably already is, but the government are not telling us about. But that's another debate for another podcast at another time.
Well, the highest R rate recorded in the country at the moment is 1.27, and that's down in the southwest. What they do, they get the highest, and then they get the lowest, and then they get the average out, and that's how they're going. Well, down in where Kris is, I think it's 0.9, but the lowest is 0.78. Well, hold on, you're still getting 1.27. What the fuck are you doing? Since February the 25th, I've left the house 3 times, and I think I'm a bit of a dirty stop out. One of those, I was out for nearly an hour. And that was only going around my village. No one in my village is ill. There's only you only see a few people wandering around. Like you're saying, Carl, you could do an entire podcast about this, like with people. And now they've announced you've got to wear face masks when you use public transport. Now,
which is going to be one, impossible to police, and two, you think we are this is the 10th or 11th week into this pandemic, and only now they're saying wear face masks, and only now on Monday you now have to self-quarantine from flying into another country. I mean, like I said, this is a football podcast, and we want to stay on this football thing, but like Kris said, this government has been absolutely ridiculous and how they've handled this. But again, let's stick to Arsenal and we're going. Me and Kris are doing another government podcast.
There's no chances of Arsenal fans congregating to celebrate anything this season, so we don't need to worry about it, and we can move on.
Well, we are going to beat Man City.
That's okay. You know, fine. I'll meet you all at the Etihad.
It goes on to what we're going to talk about next about. Has Arteta turned us around? Do you think Arteta can go back to his old stomping ground and get a win?
Why not?
It's a difficult one, isn't it? Danny, what do you reckon? Because you barely get to answer any of these questions.
That's the job of a host. I shut up and make you lot look good. Well, the next thing we were going to talk about, the third point that I put down there, the only injury we have now is Chambers. When was the last time we had a fully fit squad? And you've seen now that we have got so many attacking options and we got everybody fit. And going up to Man City with a fully fit squad, I think we're one of the only Premier League teams that has got almost no injuries. Chambers isn't going to be back this season. I don't know. He'll be back. I think it's late August. He's meant to be back there. And we don't know when this season's going to end. And the FA Cup final on Christmas Day, the way this is going. But I think we can definitely do something. I'm not as pessimistic about it as Kris is. For me, no more football. Cancel it. Job done. France have done it. Get it out of the way. You don't need to risk the people having to go there. But financial reasons that you've got to do it. But I'm quite looking forward to going up there. And didn't Arseblog say they'll be playing FIFA noises in the background to try and that was the title of it. I haven't listened to his podcast yet. But I think we can go there. We can definitely do something.
I was just going to say on the injuries, and speaking of him, he did a very good interview with Darren Burgess, the former head of Arsenal sporting sporting clinic or whatever it was, the injury side, and just on the injuries, I do think we need to brace ourselves. We don't have a great injury record at Arsenal as it is. I have a sneaking suspicion that there'll be a lot of rotation.
Or did he go?
No, he's gone back to Australia. He's working with Melbourne, the Aussie Rules team, Melbourne Heart, is it? But yeah, he was saying that there will be a lot of hard load injuries. So things like Achilles and ankles and knees, because players are able to do jogging and running, etc., and so on, but they're not necessarily able to do the fast movements like the turning and the moving off the ball and receiving and going again and sharp movements. So yeah,
we can see this in Germany at the moment. Because they're 3 weeks in now to returning, and everybody's new boy wonder, because everybody's now watching Bundesliga. Kai Havertz is missing from Leverkusen.
100 million for him. He's had 4 seasons at his club, and only the last 2 he's been any good. Is that the one?
Yeah, he's 19.
He is very good.
He's very, very good.
He's very, very good.
But he didn't play this week. They've been basically running him into the ground because they need him. I could see us doing a similar thing with Aubameyang, to be honest.
Making sure we don't break.
Are we going to need him? He's going to have to play probably 3 or 4 games in a row. Unless
that depend on where we are, though. I mean, let's say we beat Man City, just for argument's sake, and say we get 4 wins out of 5, and we're right in that 5th place chase. Then he has to play. But let's say we lose to Man City, and before you know it, we're actually, pretty much out of league contention. Surely then, with the season being the way it is, that's when Arteta needs to say, well, actually, now is the time to blood Willock again. Now's the time to get Lacazzette's form back, give Eddie a run, because the FA Cup becomes the priority then. If
probably depends. Sorry, go on, Kris. Sorry.
No, that was what I was going to say. Yeah.
It probably depends on what Aubameyang's going to do next season. I mean, if he's going to stay, then you're going to try and keep him happy, aren't you? But I guess by now, Arsenal and Arteta would know whether Aubameyang's going to stay next season. And if he's not, then I guess it's, like you said, if we're kind of out of the running within the first 3-4 games, then it's kind of, well, you're not going to be here next season. I now need to look towards next season. So that's when you're right. You play the Lacazette if he's going to stay as well, and you look to the Nketiahs and those sort of people. So yeah, I think it does depend on whether he's going to stay or not.
Yeah,
Carl, just brought onto, and we've gone on to that. You brought us on to our next point of what's going to happen with players' contracts. They all expire on July the 1st. If a player's leaving. Did you find that list of players that end up in contract, Josh?
It's very much at the bottom of the chat if you scroll down, but I can read it if you like.
Yeah, go on, you do that.
So we have got 4 players, previously thought to be 3 until The Athletic did a lovely bit of digging into David Luiz's contract. So David Luiz is 1 with an asterisk, I'm going to put on that one. And then it's the 3 loanees, really. Pablo Mari, but I don't know if we've got an option to buy that we're going to take up on him. I think probably...
We will end up buying him 10 million, I think
think so, yeah. I'll go Danny Ceballos is the other one with his Real Madrid loan. And then the one probably the most interesting is Cedric Suarez, because we've got him on loan from Southampton, but he's out of contract as well with them in the summer. So that's going to be a bit of a clusterfuck. But how often will actually get him to play? You know, we probably won't need him after July the 1st if Kris says everything that was going to happen.
I think Suarez is already an Arsenal player, personally.
Yeah, I think something like that is probably going to happen as well. He's
played almost no football, so he's not been a regular for Southampton all season. He's come to us in January, played no football, so you've not exactly put yourself in the window for other clubs to come in, and he's going to go, well, hold on, I'm not really going to do... I mean, I've had a stroke of luck ending up at Arsenal. You're not going to get a move to anyone bigger, and you may well be a new Jules Gomandi because he covers in lots of positions, doesn't he, Josh?
Yeah, he's been injured for most of the season. I think that's what kind of doesn't help him. I think the best thing we can kind of see from him is that, as you say, there's not many options up from Arsenal for him at the moment, especially with the season he's had. He's a perfectly serviceable right back. You know, some might say he could get into sides that are above there, above our position, certainly.
There are 8 of them.
Yeah, exactly. But I kind of see him as, you know what, he's that kind of perfect option that I think would be happy playing second fiddle to Hector Bellerin.
Isn't he a better defender?
That's the problem. I think he's got a better end product, which is a polite way of saying no. He's got a better end product, I think, Suarez. He really does like a cross.
He's an international footballer as well. I mean, people have mocked him, and I get the whole injury thing, and I get the fact that maybe he's become a bit of the new Kim Källström, but it's not it's not his fault that he was injured. It's not his fault that his agent got him a good move. But he seems to have embraced the idea of playing for Arsenal. He seems to be keen on playing for us, and he is an international quality fullback. Portugal were European champions not long ago. You don't get in there starting 11 if you're crap. He's
29 at the end of August, and he's played 33 games for Portugal, and he won the thingy bob, didn't he? What was it called?
Euros. Sorry, Kris, go on.
I was just going to say, if you're going to a club where Hector Bellerin is first choice, Hector is still, we don't know. Okay, this break has probably done him the world of good. I think Darren Burgess was saying about how this break will have really helped people like Rob Holding and Hector Bellerin, because they'll have got themselves back to the level that the other players were at before the break. So that's a good thing for them. But there's no guarantee that A, Hector doesn't find his Barca DNA in the summer, or B, gets still has recurring injuries or isn't back to his best. So you need 2 quality players in each position. We haven't got that left back, but we have got that right back if we've got Suarez.
Yeah, it's also not his fault that we've got no one coming through the youth academy in that position. Maitland-Niles has already said, he doesn't want to play right back. So rather surprisingly for Arsenal, we've dealt with that in a way of saying, all right, you don't want to play right back. Well, we're signing a right back to play back up to Bellerin. So you're never going to play in that position again. And unfortunately, you're not good enough to, we can go on to Maitland-Niles in general on whether or not we feel he would or wouldn't play for us. But we've been quite aggressive in that regard. And to be honest, Suarez, I would say, is a bit like Monreal in the way he kind of plays, he's very quietly good. He's not going to give you a 10 out of 10 performance necessarily every week or every other week, but he is kind of consistent. And I think that's something you kind of want from a backup. Because I think when we signed Monreal, he wasn't. I'm trying to think who our left back at the time was then. It was Andre Santos.
I think it was. Well, yeah, he was in that era, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's that kind of era. But again, he kind of came in as a little bit of a backup. You know, he's not the marquee signing. I think he's just he's just a clever little signing that could come in and, you know what, do a job for us. And to be honest, in a squad, we're going to need that, to be honest, until the youth academy starts producing right backs for us, because we don't really have many.
Karl, going back to the contracts thing, because we drifted off slightly, and picking up another point we wanted to make. What do we do with Alba if he refuses to sign a new deal? We can't afford to let him go for free next summer. So are we in another Ozil 350 grand a week scenario? Because this is going to be his last contract, because he's got 2 or 3 years easily at the top still, hasn't he?
Yeah, but we can't afford to pay him Ozil money. There's no way we can afford it. I don't think people realise what this break in football has done to football clubs. You know, Arsenal's match day revenue is at least 1.5 million. So if you think that we're missing out on 1.5 million every single match day, that football is going to take a very long time to recover until fans can get back in to grounds, and that's not going to be for a very long time. So I think that the days of paying someone, you know, £350,000 a week is definitely gone. I think clubs are going to say, you know, this is what we're offering. You take it or you leave it. And you know, agents now, they must be scrambling, thinking, okay, we can't get our players, you know, the 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700s a week. That's not going to happen anymore. And unfortunately, you're going to have to say to Aubameyang, we'll give you another contract. That's fine. We can probably give you maybe a 50 grand pay rise, whatever he's on. He must be on at least, I would say, 200 there or thereabouts. So, and if he doesn't want to sign, then we just got to take what we can for him. Aubameyang's going to have no problems finding another club. You know, I'm sure the likes of Barcelona and PSG, and I'm sure there's some other clubs that will want him. They'll go for him. And if we can get, what is he, 31, 32? I think 31 is
He'll be 31 in about 12 days.
And as good as he is, and he's really brilliant. Listen, if we can get 30 to 40 million for a 31-year-old, then we've got to take it. We've got to, because we cannot wind up in an Aaron Ramsey situation again. We cannot wind up in our best player leaving for free. So we're gonna have to be ruthless. We're gonna have to say, Aubameyang, do you want to sign for us? Yes or no? If he says no, then okay, thank you very much, and we have to sell him. No if, ands, or buts. No getting down to 6 months of his contract and saying, oh, please, 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 and end up having to offer him stupid amounts of money. It's literally, are you signing? Yes, no, no. Okay, we thank you for your service and being here for the last 3 years. Unfortunately, you need to go now.
What do you think it will be if you had to put your bus pass on it?
I don't think he'll be there. I think he will go. I think, like you said, he wants that big contract, and we just cannot offer him that money. Maybe a club with a rich owner can, but we have a rich owner, but he's not willing to put his money into the club.
Will he look good in black and white stripes? And can he say, why I, man?
And it also depends on what happens in this transfer market, to be honest, because we don't know the full financial impact of COVID-19 on transfer market. You know, if someone comes in and gives us £50 million plus for Aubameyang, sure, you could have us there. But you know what? If clubs don't have that kind of money to spend on a 30-plus-year-old striker that's going to give them nothing in terms of resale value at the end of their contract, is it worth the kind of risk? Or are we actually just going to be caught out with this? No one's going to come in for him in the summer. We then got a player who's in the last years of their contract that we're not going to get any money for and won't sign a new deal. If we don't make European football as well, we probably don't have the money on the wage bill to deal with it.
So this is why we have to take what we can for him. And if I don't know, Man City won't come in for him, but if a Juventus or a flipping PSG or Barcelona or Real Madrid coming for, say, 30 million, I think you even have to accept 30 million. As good as, and we're not going to get someone of Aubameyang's quality for 30 million. It's not going to happen. But I think
we need everyone. We've got Lacazette, and we've got Eddie scored a hat trick today. And
yeah, but Lacazette's not guaranteed to stay either because he's in his last year, isn't as well.
Mm-hmm.
So again, we're looking at Aubameyang, but we're forgetting about Lacazette as well.
You have to look at where we are as a club as well. I mean, if you look at the business that Chelsea are about to do with Timo Werner, there's a reason that they're going. There's a reason that they're going for a player like that, though, because he's got a buyout clause. That deal is very easy to do, and sure, it's 60 million euros, which still, with what's going on in the world, seems like a high amount of money. But when your owner is Roman Abramovich, it's not.
Sorry, Kris, to come in on that. The reason they can do that deal is because Morata is being bought for £48 million. Abramovich has put none of his money into that club
even better,
for this season.
But if they wanted to buy him outright, even if Morata wasn't going, they could afford to spend that money. But it's a very easy deal to do, and they're getting a player who, because of that release clause, Leipzig could have sold Timo Werner last summer for 100 million plus. They're now being forced to sell him for 60 million. Arsenal are not in that market. We are. I hate to bring it back.
What we're all thinking.
Well, I hate to sort of bring it back to. We've all been looking back at past seasons. We are now where we were when Arsene came in and George left. That's where we are as a club right now, in my opinion. I mean, we might not have Glenn Helder and Chris Kiwomir, but we do have Xhaka and Kolasinac. So we're not. We're in a place where we need to be really careful about who we buy, and arguably we need to be looking at the youth and looking at what we've got in the club at the moment, and potentially, and this really pains me to say it, maybe we need to be looking down the league that we're playing in for our players rather than trying to find the next hidden gems. There's nothing wrong with getting a William Saliba or an unknown lad from Holland or something like that, but maybe we need to be starting to look at the Cedric Suarez's of Southampton, or looking at the players that are, available, shall we say, from a team like probably Leicester's. Even Leicester's out of our range now. But
to be honest, we can stay Norwich. I mean, how many of us would take Todd Cantwell?
Yeah, Max Aaron's.
And he's going down. We'd all take Todd Cantwell. We take either of their fullbacks.
Oh yeah, Max Aaron's definitely.
Buendia on the wing if we need to find someone there. There are options.
And would they do any worse than some of the players we've got now? And if we've got a player, I mean, I personally would keep Aubameyang if you can. And I do get the impression that he's quite happy. And I think had this virus not kicked in, I think he probably would have gone. I think arguably this might change things, because I'm not sure there'll be such a big market for him as there would have been had this not have all kicked off. But yeah, I mean.
Because we've done 45 minutes now, we've only done 3 of our own points. So, Kris, then Josh, what do you think is going to happen with Aubameyang? Karl says he thinks he'll leave.
I think he stays. I'll leave it at that. I think he stays.
Josh?
I don't think there's a market for him, really, at this moment in time, post COVID-19. So, I think he stays for next season, whether it goes in the January. Whether or not he goes into January or not, there are a couple of rules that might help out boost other teams' finances that will be coming into play, like the big, the Chelsea farming out loanees.
Yeah,
that's getting cut from next season. That's going down to just 7 players. Wow. So fire sale at Chelsea, by the way, because they've got 35 players they need to get rid of.
That's ridiculous.
But yeah. That's going to be something that will really shorten and get team squad sizes down. So there's a lot of players that I think we could see.
I'll tell you what else might change it as well, Josh. The outcome of that Man City appeal.
If
they have bounced out of the Champions League, then at least 3, maybe 4 of their first team players are gone. De Bruyne's gone, Sane's gone. Arguably, Aguero moves on for one last season elsewhere. If they overcome that and they stay in the Champions League, they're going to go ham to reinforce that squad, because they need to compete with Liverpool. If they're not in the Champions League, their market or the players they buy will significantly boost the teams that are selling players to them, and they'll have money to go shopping at clubs like ours and pick off some of our players. So
I think we're forgetting as well the Newcastle aspect as well, because if that sale goes through, then you can see Newcastle coming in for a player like Aubameyang, Premier League, like Man City did to us. Got the Premier League experience. They look to us and think, oh yeah, we can go and take a Aubameyang, and so the Newcastle thing is one that every team is looking at, because they know that Newcastle are going to have billions to spend, and they know that some of their best players will be getting tapped up to go to Newcastle, and money talks. So I can definitely see that happening.
There is a player that I think, and Danny, it comes down further in the list, but I think it's pertinent to kind of bring him up at the moment, that you could see as like a prime kind of raiding us, and that's Kieran Tierney at the moment. So Newcastle, you could kind of see it happening, especially for that kind of money. We've got depth in that position, but we've seen recently, and I asked this one to Kris and Karl, to Leicester City, as a Ben Chilwell replacement. Do you see anything in that rumour, Kris? Or it's just paper talk?
I can't see us selling Tierney, to be honest. I don't see it. I think Leicester will. There's talk of Chilwell to Chelsea, isn't there, for 80 or 90 odd million they want from him.
He's a left back.
Yeah.
Get rid of Alonso.
I think there's more likelihood that Leicester would replace him with, you mentioned already, like a Norwich youngster or a player from a club that's going down. I don't know if, for example, like if Villa go down, someone like a Jack Grealish will go to a club like a Leicester, and I think that's the sort of market Leicester will be shopping in. I get the Brendan Rodgers link to Tierney and stuff. I just think it'd be a backward step. We've essentially brought in a left back for the next 10 years. Why would we then sell him on? It would be a very odd move. So I think that one's probably, and we are getting, I know we're going to mention another player later on in the pod. We're getting into that stage, aren't we? Football's back. So we have to go back to goal.com and get our regular dose of daily bullshit about transfers that make up the back of toilet paper, So I wouldn't believe all you read. I think they've got to sell column inches now. So these rumours are gonna pick up quick.
Yeah, Karl, you got the same kind of output on that one?
Yeah, definitely. I can't see him going. Definitely not. We've bought a player who hasn't, just through injury, hasn't had a proper run in the team yet. And, towards now and the end of the season, it should be him getting a good run in the team. Him and Kolasinac exchanging positions or exchanging games. So we haven't seen the best of Kieran Tierney yet. We haven't seen even, I don't think, 10% or 20% of Kieran Tierney yet. Once he has a good run in the team, then we'll see. But I just can't see him leaving, not at all.
Danny, and as Kieran Tierney does, I will cross it back to you.
Lovely. I'm going to go back slightly on the last one. I've just sent you the listeners' questions, Josh. Well, I'll put them to all of you, but Josh can read them out. I look back at Sanchez and I weep like a baby. I think Aubameyang should go because we don't know in this next 18 months what's going to happen. If we can get that amount of money in and that amount of money off of the wages, and also that means that you've got Martinelli can now play, because that's just one more player that we've got that can go up there, because Aubameyang's value is just going to keep going down and down and down, and at some point you're going to have to cash in. And I think they might want to cash in. I'd cash in, but when I will look back in years to come and I'll be playing Football Manager or FIFA and I'll look at Aubameyang in an Arsenal kit and I'll go, that bloke, if he had a decade at Arsenal, he'd be our record goal scorer. That bloke is one of the greatest strikers in Premier League history and in modern history of football. He's absolutely amazing. And I think he'll go, because why would you want to be in this country when you can go and live it up in Spain? I mean, look at it now, middle of the summer. It's been raining all day and hailstones. It's a nightmare. I'll be so sad to see him go.
Maybe so, but you also might look at Anton Griezmann and think, do you know what? It's not all Barcelona. It's not all rosy Barcelona, because that there is a realistic chance of Alba going somewhere like that and not saying not playing, but being third or fourth choice. So I mean, it's and also there's no good cashing in. Say again?
He cost Barca 120 million, and then about 300,000 or 400,000 wages, and he's done nothing.
Well, no, that's completely wrong. He's done quite a lot, but they're not playing him in the positions and in the style that's suit him because they're too obsessed with getting Messi and Dudar into the side. Suarez. So I don't think that's the player's fault. He's a good fit for Barca if he was used the right way, but that's for a Barca pod. But also if you get money in for Alba, there's no point cashing in on these players if we then don't invest the money wisely. And let's be honest, our transfer business hasn't been amazing for a while, has it? I think the Pepe one will come good. The Tierney one's good. But if you look at it over the last 10, 15 years, there's no point in us having money if we're just going to waste it on some of the crap we brought in.
Yes,
that's how I view it anyway.
I don't think he will go. How long have we got left? We have got about 40 minutes to go. So so when we come up later, Josh, you did the listeners' questions. Karl, if you want to do Fife's forum, because then you can be mean to Fife at the same time. Make it out like we planned that. I mean, we haven't planned this at all. That's just going to be off the cuff. And what other points have we got here? Should we have a moment's silence for Spurs? Their stadium should have cost 500 million. It ended up costing $1 billion. And now they've just had a £150 million loan taken out, Karl, with 0.5% interest. And they're not allowed to use it for transfers. Does that make you feel sad or?
It makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside because you can just see they're going to have to sell their best asset. And their best asset is that dribbling Harry Kane. They're not going to want to sell him. I totally understand that. And, as a football fan, I can understand why they wouldn't want to sell their best player. But they have no other assets in their squad that anyone else is going to want. So he's going to have to go. Maybe Lloris back to France. Maybe, but even I don't rate Lloris. I don't think he's as good as people think. Kris, don't come in there. But in all seriousness, I think they're going to have to sell their best player, and their best player is Harry Kane. They got no other. I mean, they spent how much money on Ndombele, and he hasn't turned out to be that very good either, is he? So time will tell, but. It makes me laugh. I'm happy that, I think our dear late friend Steve, he predicted all of this. I remember listening to various voice notes in our WhatsApp group.
You can say it now, can't you?
Yeah, of him predicting all of this happening, and literally it's come to fruition. So, I'm sure Steve is somewhere laughing at them, calling them a name and one of their players a name, which we all know what. We all know what name he's calling one of their players, but I think it's great. I do think it's very. I think it's very funny, and they're going to have to sell Harry Kane. They've got no choice whatsoever. If they do keep him, then they're going to be in a lot of debt, especially with no matchday revenue coming in as well.
Yes, that's right there. I think everyone feels the same. I just wanted one of you to have a laugh at it. Josh, FA Cup. It's the provisional day for the final. It's the 1st of August. Oh my God. That's 7 days before the season starts, isn't it? I think that's the way it should work. The quarterfinals are provisionally the 27th and 28th of June. On the 27th at 5 p.m, we play Sheffield United at their place. Later in the day, Man United go to Norwich. The next day, Chelsea go to Leicester. I nearly said Marseille then. I'm losing the plot. And then the final game is Man City goes to Newcastle. Later on in the questions, someone does question whether the FA Cup should have just been abandoned. What's your thoughts on the FA Cup, Josh, and what we're going to do in it?
I'd like to think we've got a chance, purely because the momentum that I think Sheffield United kind of built up earlier in the season has been a little bit diminished by them having, or by all of us having 2 or 3 months off. To be honest, they probably had time to reflect back on their position, and hopefully gives us an opportunity to try and get something out of that game. I know it's ridiculous being Arsenal and talking about trying to get something out of a Sheffield United game, but it is what it is for where we're at the moment. But looking at the teams that are kind of left in that position, if we're looking at form prior to the season kind of being broken up 2 or 3 months ago, yeah, we totally got a chance at the FA Cup. There's a couple of teams that I might look to avoid. Probably Man City being really the only one that kind of scares me in there. And then Leicester is probably another one. But otherwise, we know Newcastle are just going to buy Man City to get through that tie with all their millions. But yeah, I think we've certainly got a chance at the FA Cup. And I did see someone mentioning that, you know what, it is a route to Europe as well. If we really need to get into the Europa League, bloody hell. I can't believe we're kind of been thinking like that. Yeah. Told me 25 years ago, I'd be saying, bloody hell, there's a chance we get into Europe. Oh, with a win in the FA Cup. Yeah, that's not the reason we should be winning the FA Cup, is because it gives us a place in Europe. Should be winning the FA Cup. It's a decent trophy.
I've just seen the Lacazette goal. David Luiz launches the ball from the middle of his own area across the length of the pitch. Then someone brings it down to Lacazette and he thunder bastards it. I've pluralised something you can't pluralise into the back of the net. That's on Twitter now. It's Ollie Price Bates is doing it. Kris, thoughts on the FA Cup? Or do you just agree with Josh? No, we all agree with Josh.
Yeah, pretty much what Josh has said. It is, as you said, it's a trophy at the end of the day. It would give Mikel a springboard into next season. I had to double take and find out who's left in it because I forgot who had gone out and whatnot. And
I didn't even know we were still in it.
Quite a few big clubs have gone out, and Spurs. So, yeah, I mean, there is every opportunity. And I think the other thing as well is we're away to Sheffield United. I think with that crowd, it's a different game. Without that crowd, I think we beat. To be honest, I think we beat them fairly comfortably. So I do think we'll get through that game. Then it's all about the draw. But yeah, I mean it would be very typically Arsenal for the manager who contracted this virus and caused all this to then go on and win the FA Cup. It'd be a very Arsenal story, wouldn't it? But
I thought you were going to say I'm sorry, Kris. I thought you were going to say it was very Arsenal for us to beat Sheffield United and then get knocked out to Norwich in the next round.
Oh, that as well. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's very much Arsenal as well. No, I do think we've got as good a chance as anyone, which I know is the most obvious thing in the world to say. But while we're still in it, you got to go for it. And there's at the end of the day, there's other clubs that are in it that might have focuses on other things. We seem to be in fairly good shape fitness wise. It's all about momentum now, isn't it? Who comes off quick? But I do think we can. I do think we could potentially win it, and I'd certainly be going for it. I wouldn't be thinking, oh well, the competition's diminished because of what's going on. I'd be going for it.
Arsenal have just tweeted that the full highlights of today's game against Charlton are on the Arsenal website. That's good. Karl, thoughts on the FA Cup?
I honestly thought it would be abandoned.
Yeah.
Because there's no talk of the League Cup, is there? No one's mentioned that at all. So I'm assuming that's abandoned. I'm assuming that's abandoned completely. But the FA Cup, I think it's too many games to fit in, because even I know it's no matter to us because we're out, but they're trying to also finish Europe as well, aren't they?
You didn't say the League Cup. Are you trying to wind people up? The League Cup's already had the final.
Has it?
I think you mean, yeah. Oh, I thought you meant for next season. Sorry.
Oh, was it?
Yeah,
Man City. Okay.
I just ignored it, to be honest.
Yeah, that's how much.
League Cup.
Villa versus City, wasn't it?
Man City. Yeah, Man City beat Villa. Yeah.
Shit, I'd have had
long time ago now.
Oh, good. Oh, sorry, Karl. Carry on. I thought you were joking.
Okay. No, genuinely, I that's how much notice I took of it. But yeah, I think it's too many games. I think you still got. What are we in, the quarterfinals of the Champions League or the semis at the moment?
The FA Cup's we're in the quarterfinals.
No, but the Champions League. So you think you've got to play. So I think it's just too many games, and there's such thing as burnout as well. I think, like we touched on earlier, there's going to be a lot of injuries, a lot of injuries, and to fit in all leagues, to fit in all their sort of their cup competitions, and to play Europe, you're potentially, and you're thinking you got to we're going to be playing 2 games a week in the league minimum. It's a lot of games. It's a hell of a lot of games. I think the FA Cup maybe should just been abandoned for this year and just said, you know what, we'll leave it where it is. There is no winner. You know, there'll always be a little asterisk by it, just like when Liverpool win the league, and there's always going to be an asterisk by 2020. There's always going to be an asterisk, which I'm always going to love. So yeah, maybe it should have been abandoned, but I can kind of understand. But again, as we all know, it comes down to money. It's all about money, nothing else but money. Not about player safety, not about lifting the fan spirits, nothing like that. It's just about money, nothing else.
I agree with you. I just looked at who's in the quarterfinals of the Champions League. Atalanta, Atletico Madrid, Red Bull Leipzig, and PSG. Well, how, Kris, in under a minute, how are PSG going to do that when they're not even playing in their league?
Well, don't forget Lyon as well, because Lyon are in the same position. They've got the second location.
Doesn't say Lyon.
Yeah, they have. Yeah, they beat Juventus in the first leg. Yeah.
Oh, Man City, Real Madrid haven't played the second leg. Bayern, Chelsea haven't. Juventus, Lyon haven't. I was wondering where Barcelona, Real Madrid had gone.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Well, PSG and Lyon are at a huge disadvantage because, as you say, their season's been curtailed and they can't really play friendlies because they haven't got anyone to play of any sort of note or
each other every week.
Yeah, it might come to that. It might be a case of they play each other in July or something. Yeah, but no, they're going to struggle, and it's ironic that the 1 year PSG get over the mental hurdle of going out in the second stage. They finally reach the quarterfinals, and now they might struggle. But no, I think from what I can gather, UEFA are talking about making the semi-finals one-legged affairs, the quarterfinals one-legged affairs, and they're just going to play them in a neutral venue. That's the talks. They're all going to play all the games in one stadium selected somewhere in Europe that is flyable, shall we say? Because that's the other logistics you've got to manage. So I think that's probably what's going to happen. But in another way, it might benefit PSG or Lyon because they'll be more fresh. So it just depends on how things shake out.
And Neymar's sister's birthday has already happened.
Well, that's always a bonus because otherwise he'd be missing for 6 weeks. So yeah.
Josh, do you know anything about Thomas Partey? Could you do 2 minutes on him?
Yeah, he's not coming to Arsenal.
No. Transfer.
Why would he want to come here?
That is the player that everybody says we're linked to. To tell people, because I'd never heard of him.
Yeah, he's had some decent games for Atletico Madrid, but that's because he's quite a good player. He's horribly above Arsenal level, which is a horrible thing to say at the moment. But I can't see where he really. Well, I'm not saying I can't see where he fits in. I think our squad's too big for him at the moment, and I'm not sure who we try and sell or who we'd be able to get the money for to bring him in.
Where does he play?
Central midfield. I would liken to him in terms of positional, where he kind of turns up on the field as like a Guendouzi. He's not like Torreira sits in front of the back four. He'll do that for Simeone, but you do anything Simeone tells you to do. Terrifying bastard. But he's kind of in that part of the midfield, a little bit box to boxy, but he's got flair to him as well. He's like 4 years along the line of Guendouzi is probably how I'd describe him. But I don't think we really got.
He's very Diaby as well.
Yeah.
I take it you've got no idea, like me, Karl.
No, all I know is that he's a relatively box to box, and I can't see him coming to Arsenal this season, like Josh said.
Kris, you've got 30 seconds.
Massive fan. I think he's a hugely talented player. I actually think it is one that could be done. Weirdly, I do think it is one that could be done because the player said that he's interested, and that's always a good start. His agents line up with the people we do business with. I do agree with Josh. I think it will depend on who we could sell or how we could structure a deal. If we could structure a deal where we paid them, £4 a month for the next 25 years, then maybe we can get something done. There is no way we're going to spend 80 million quid up front, but it just feels like a bit of a cycle like his time at Atleti is coming to an end. Simeone's time at Atleti is coming to an end. It feels like that team will probably break up. But yeah, as for Partey, I genuinely rate him highly enough to say that I think if we were to bring him in, you could build our midfield around him for 3 to 4 years. He's that good. He's the sort of player that can manage a game on his own. He's the sort of player that can dominate a game in midfield on his own. I remember seeing him when he first came through. I think it was 4 years ago, when he was very much a reserve for Atleti. He's come in and made that spot his own. And in a club like that, like Josh said, with a manager like Simeone, that's not easy to do. So my fear would be a Man City might have a look at him with Fernandinho turning, I think he's 56 next week. So I think there's a club like Man City might have a look at him. And if we get into a bidding war, forget it. If we can do it quietly under the radar, despite all the ITKs telling us what's going on by the hour, I'm sure we'll have his flights booked next. That'll be the next thing. We'll have flight tracker. But yeah, he's worth every penny. If we could get the deal done, I would do it because he's that good.
So would you say no Partey, no party?
And don't don't.
There you go, Danny. It's one for all the video watchers.
Partey.
There we go.
Good old Perlo. Right, Josh, listeners' questions, and well done. You freeloading scumbags. Now that the Tuesday Club is back, I'm going to have to stop saying that because actually they might think the Tuesday Club stole it for me. I've been a bit, whilst Josh is getting them, I've been a little bit sneaky for the Tuesday Club. I've sent them a listener's question about autographs from the ABW account. I haven't signed it, so I'll have to read out our email address. And they go, what's a Bergkamp Wonderland? And I've annoyed him by not answering the question properly. So I just told him at my time when Noel Quinn told me to fuck off. So if you listen to the Tuesday Club, I might well have annoyed Mr. Davis. So, Josh, while I go to listeners'
it's
question.
unlike you to annoy Davies. That's all I'm going to say. It's not your nature. Right, listeners' questions. It's one on formations. So all quickly put your hands up for who wants a question on formations. But this is from Matt L. Roberts. I'm going to go with Kris. Would you use the time now to consider different formations like a diamond 4-4-2 or the 4-3-3, or stick with what we've done all season, though Mikel knows best?
In short, no, I wouldn't fiddle with it. Arteta was getting the best out of what we had available before the break. He was starting to put his own imprint on it. He does play a 4-2-3-1, but he definitely plays it with a touch of Guardiola-esque management in terms of the players are rotational and the formation changes according to the game plan that either the opposition were playing. So, no, I think 4-2-3-1 is fine. The only time you change formations for me is at the end of a season or a pre-season when you've brought specific players to the club that fit specific positions. So, yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing us with 3 at the back again in the future. But I want 3 proper competent centre-halves before we start going down that route again. So, yeah, I'd stick where we are for now.
You ask too much, Mr. Carpenter. There's no way Arsenal Football Club will ever have three competent centre-backs after... Exactly. Carl, Chris, question from Chris Nielsen. Lots of games coming up in a short space of time. Which position would be our weakest link when we need to rotate the starting 11?
Strike. I wouldn't say striker too, but it depends on what form Lacazette comes into it. I think he's got to the form that he had before COVID-19. We can't have that form. You know, as much as you have to look at it. He was in really bad form. I think he scored 1 in 13 or something along them lines. That's not the form of a striker, of an Arsenal striker, or at least not the form that we want. I know we can look back to what's his name again?
Giroud.
Giroud, that's the one. Giroud, when he scored that 9 in 24, wasn't it? 9 in 14 or something like that. But we need him firing on all cylinders. We have to put the ball in the back of the net because we are going to have injuries, and I have no doubt that, like Kris said, we're going to maybe end up burning Aubameyang out, and we need someone behind him to come in and not lose of any momentum. So if Aubameyang is scoring, I don't know, a rate of 1 goal every game, we need someone to come in and replace those goals. And as long as Lacazette is able to come in and do get the goals that are missing for when Aubameyang is out, then that's good. But I think striker is the position that we need to focus on.
Josh, I need to read a tweet.
Okay. No, I'm sure.
Just tweeted 6 minutes ago. Breaking news: COVID-19 testing for the Premier League. 1,195 samples in round 6, 0 positives. Last time there was 1. Time before that there was 0, and the time before that in round 3 there was 4. So yeah, he's just tweeted that. That's good.
I think it all depends on whether the players are mixing as well. I mean, we've seen some really, and I don't want to harp on this, but when the lockdown first started, we saw the likes of Jack Grealish going out, and we saw the likes of
Kyle Walker sex parties.
Yeah, yes, there was Kyle Walker sex parties, and
you got
the Tottenham guys going out. So, I mean, and it all depends on whether the players are mixing. I mean, I personally think they should all be in a bubble. I think they should all the clubs are rich enough to rent a whole hotel and say, right, this is what you do. You go to training, you come home, you stay in that hotel, especially when the games are played as well. That would easily cut the infection rate. But, and I understand, they want to be able to go home to their families and things like that. I totally understand. But for them to say, all right, for 6-7 weeks, you literally live in a hotel, I don't think that's asking too much.
No, I don't think so. Danny, question for you from @SheWar. How do you think 5 subs will change club tactics?
I think there's only someone did a reply to that, and I'm just going to see if I can find it. They said something about how often you're allowed to do those.
I know you're not allowed to make all of them at half time, so Emery's happy.
Isn't it 5 subs but at 3 intervals?
Yes, that's what I said. It says can only use the 3 subs at 3 stops in play. No real impact on time wasting. That's Matt Arsenal 1. So cheers for that. I think it's going to be. They're going to be used up more towards the end of the game, aren't they? Because it's not like the Arteta one. When everybody off at half time, you never know who was going to come back on. I would be surprised here. I have been looking at some of the teams that have been having 5 already, and they don't even use all 5. So I don't really think it's going to make much difference. They might get a few younger players getting a few more games. I'd like to say in Italy, if people don't know, you can have unlimited subs on the bench if you can find a bench big enough. And so I think I'd like to see more match day subs available and still keep the 5 subs. I think it could be something for the future that's worth doing.
Especially while we've got no fans in the stadium as well. I mean, Chelsea will just fill up Stamford Bridge with all their players.
See, the game's on the sub.
Exactly. Right. Got a question from Noir Confidential. We'll go to Kris for this one. I know everything's up in the air right now, but do you think the club will decide to keep Danny Ceballos? Already familiar with the coach, the team, and English football, so to a degree, he is a safe option.
I'm probably the worst or best person to ask this question because I've said it before and I'll say it again. I would keep him 100%. 100%. I think he's if the numbers work, the price works, then he's a very high caliber player, I think. And I think he's a player that will get better and better with time as things go on. So there isn't much more I can say. I really rate him. I really do. I think he'll grow and grow into that position, into that team. I think we were just about starting to see what I think Arteta was quite strict with him when he first came in and was very sort of like, you have to earn your place. And he sort of, there was rumours about him, I don't know if I want to stay, I don't know if I want to go. Arteta was like, well, you do your bit and you'll get game time. He got game time and I thought he took his chance as well. So, yeah, I would be very much working at keeping him and moving others on than the other way around, personally, if you can get him at a good price.
Yeah. Carl, do you have anything different on Danny Ceballos?
I think if we can get him for a good price, I'd keep him. But it does depend on how much we have to buy him for. If it's a nice fee, then yeah, by all means, I'd definitely keep him. But I'm not. I think if Real Madrid are going to charge us, I don't know, upwards of 35-40 million, I do think there's probably players out there that a bit better than him that we could get. So yeah, it'll just depend on the fee.
Okay, cool. Big thanks to Mr. DJ and Mikkel's Barber we have covered both those questions already on the FA Cup and on Mr. Aubameyang. Next one, there's a flippant comment from Ellis. I think he thinks he's being funny.
Wait for Carl. Easy bit.
Yeah. He's late again. That's typical Carl.
Carl.
Never on time.
Yeah. Move on.
Move on to that one. So, question from R. Richard. So, I assume that is Cactus Cash.
Yes.
R. Richard. Carl, is playing Man City first and getting out of the way a good thing? And do you think Arteta will bring in Tierney or stick with Saka at left back? And I think we could ask the question, does Kolasinac even come in?
I think it is a very good thing playing them. I mean, you've got to play them at some time, right? And I think every team will be not match fit. No team's going to be match fit. So I think you'll find a lot of teams after 50, 60 minutes, they're going to be blowing like hell. Although the collective of Man City, they're still going to be, the very good players. I think fitness-wise, we're going to be on par. So I think that's a good thing. I don't think Saka will continue at left back. I think now we've got our natural left backs back. Tierney's back. Kolasinac is back. I think he's got options now to play people in their correct positions. No square peg round holes thing. So I would love to see Saka play higher up the pitch. And that's all to do with options. We can change things that we really need to. So, I honestly do think that probably Tierney does probably start, or maybe not start because he still hasn't played a lot of matches even before the injury. So I could probably see Kolasinac sort of starting, to be honest.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you on that one. But I think Saka might play further upfield now that we've got that kind of injury crisis solved. And, at left wing, who's going to play up front? Do we play Uber up front or does Saka come in at left wing? It's that kind of question. I think one final question as well from Confidential again. Question for everyone. Have you been watching the Last Dance documentary series on Netflix? What does everyone think about it? I don't understand basketball. And I thought this was an awful sequel to Space Jam. So, no, I haven't seen it.
I can't
Kris,
watch.
Danny?
Squeak, 500 points each.
I do want to watch it because that was my era when I did watch basketball. The Bulls team with Rodman, Scottie Pippen, Luke Longley, Dennis Rodman. I've already said Rodman, and Michael Jordan, obviously. That was my era. So I kind of want to.
Who doesn't like basketball?
It was back in the era where I watched any sport, like anything. It was back in the days when Transworld Sport was on Sunday mornings or Saturday mornings on Channel 4. But I do want to watch it. And that team were the best. Carl's probably better to speak about this than I. I think he's a basketball fan. But that was one of the greatest sporting teams of all time in terms of what they offered. And they just won it all. I will watch it. It's just one of those. I need to find time to actually sit down and watch it. So
I'm going to watch it.
I've heard very good things.
I have watched it. It is very, very good. It's insightful. I know there's been sort of controversy about it, about whether Michael Jordan was a bully or whatnot. But at the end of the day, for me, you don't become that good in your field without sacrificed, and he gave up a lot of things. He just wanted to bring his team along, and that's what it was. Michael Jordan, in his mind, he wanted everyone to be as good as Michael Jordan. Now everyone knows it's never going to happen. It's not going to happen, but he wanted to bring his team along. If his feet were bleeding, he'd ask the question, I'm just playing the game. My feet are bleeding. Why aren't your feet bleeding? That just means you haven't worked as hard as I have. It's a very, very good documentary, and I've seen some people on Twitter, and it goes with Ellis's hashtag fuck Ellis, by the way. His flippant comment about Ozil. Like, if we had a character like that in the dressing room, Arsenal, when he was like constantly that sort of on Mesut Ozil's back, and Michael Jordan was on a lot of his players' backs. Like, you could maybe call it a form of bullying. How would they have sort of gone in. I think in that dressing room, it was a strong dressing room. You had to be a strong character, because if you wasn't, then you wouldn't survive. That Kris said, they won 2 triples in a row. Like, imagine doing that, like winning the triple, going a few years without doing it, and then doing it again. For me, like Kris said, that era was the best sporting team that there ever was, maybe minus, I don't know, 09 Barcelona. That team was very, very good. So yeah, 09 Barcelona, I'm not even counting. And yeah, you could even count the Invincibles. They were very good as well. And I'm not even count 99 Man United, because I still don't think that they were that good. I really don't. But yeah, barring, yeah, maybe at Barcelona 09, probably the best sporting team you'd ever see.
Jordan was a winner. That's the thing. You got to get to the very top of your field. I don't think anyone doesn't think that Messi isn't a bit of a prick and Ronaldo isn't a bit of a prick at times. Look at Tiger Woods. To be an elite, top level sporting superstar, you've got to be either a bit of a prick, very self-absorbed, very arrogant, or have some flaw in your personality. And you've got to drag players alongside you to do that. Patrick Vieira was a prick in our dressing room at times, but he was a winner, and he was our prick, so we loved him. Do you know what I mean? So Roy Keane was a massive prick. Look what he brought to Manchester United. You've got to have that bit of edge about you. And yeah, was Jordan a bully? Probably was, but that's what that is the way that sports were, and even now sports are. You still get bullies in changing rooms. That's just the way it is.
But I guarantee all those people in the changing room thank him now, because a load of them would not have won the medals and the series that they won without him doing that. Thinking, shit, I need to play better because Michael's going to go at me. Things like that. So definitely,
brought them to his level.
Well, after all those character traits that you've reeled off, Kris, we now know that I am the best podcaster in ABW. Based on those things.
You're going to say we're all prick. I was going to say that's a bit harsh.
No, I'm going with the self-deprecation of the biggest prick here. But yeah, that's the end of the questions. Thank you, everybody who's probably stunned out of hibernation trying to think of Arsenal-related questions for us. And as always,
I'm disappointed.
Yeah. No, there were some good ones. As for Ellis's one, no.
There were some good ones, and Ellis piped up.
Ellis was there as well.
Missed it.
Yeah. No, it was all right, but he's just being rude. There's no need for it in this world. No. Sorry, Ellis. We're only allowed to be rude to you. And
do Vice Forum.
Yes, Karl, Vice Forum. Over to you.
Vice Forum, I guess it's a question that we've already touched on, and the question is it right to bring football back now? Matt L. Roberts says, probably not. Still expecting a second wave to hit, and we will be all sat home until January. Noir Confidential says, while I understand the Premier League is one of England's biggest exports, and they want the clubs to remain competitive, sort of TV commitment deals, but I do not think it's right to bring football back now. One, as far as I know, the top divisions will resume, and I feel it's wrong. And two, the pandemic situation is still not resolved, and if a player is diagnosed with COVID-19, he has to self-isolate. What if 10 players from one team get sick? It ruins the integrity of the game, which we touched on as well, which is very, very true, because let's say Arsenal play Man City, and then an Arsenal player after the game gets tested and is positive. Now, they've been around 11 Man City players there, and then also 11 Arsenal players. Does that whole team need to self-isolate? Because owing to the government rules, you do need to for 14 days. So at what point does it become a disadvantage? Let's say Aubameyang Aubameyang's diagnosed and he's our best player. So that means that we have to be without our best player for 14 days. Or does it go down as, he's injured? Do you know what I mean? I think there's a lot of things that the league need to work out, and they haven't really thought about this. Because it could even be a referee. Let's say a referee's test is positive. All the players have been around a referee. what happens then? I think and it still doesn't make sense. I think it's really funny about the German league that all the subs wear masks, but as soon as they get onto the football pitch, they take them off and then mix them with their other players. So what sense does that make? None at all. So I know it's all for show, to show that, you got to wear masks. I know Germany jumped on this wearing masks thing straight away, which is a good thing that their government sort of introduced it. But it makes no sense whatsoever. The subs wearing masks and then going to the football pitch and they taking it off and you're breathing along players, and a player's taking a corner and you've got all these players mixing in the penalty area. It's just like, really.
I was going to say, there is a current case of this at the moment in England, and also answers one of our confidential questions. Championship is coming back around the same time as the Premier League, and Preston North End in the last run of tests had a positive result. So now they are all in isolation for 14 days during their pre-season. They now only get 4 days of pre-season because they're not given another training, because they can't go back to training whilst everything gets disinfected. And again, you've got to stay within your homes, but their fixture hasn't moved. So now when they can all return, they've now got 4 days left of training and have lost 2 weeks. And that's just what's happening.
So that in the Premier League, and the Premier League is knackered again.
But if something happens in the Premier League, that there is, like Carl said,
different rule. It'll be a different rule for Premier League.
And they've thought about a lot of things, and they've discussed a lot of things, and they've suggested what might happen if a lot of things. But I don't think we're actually going to know what will happen until one of these little things actually does happen, and then we're going to see how well they're prepared for this. And we are. Well, I'm not going to guarantee because that would be silly. But I wouldn't mind betting a good possibility that there will be a form of some kind of controversy akin to the Tevez Sheffield United situation of years ago, where one club will be fucked over in some capacity, and there will be a massive legal court case over it.
Maybe a club will go, we've got COVID, we can't play our last game of the last fixture of the season. The Premier League, that game won't be played. The other team, maybe Norwich, needed a point to stay up.
Yeah, or a team like Villa, mysteriously contract 4 tests with a game to go and say, well, we could stay up if we win, but we can't raise the side, so you can't relegate us. And then you have sort of like they might stay up on default. You could see a club exploiting this situation. And to be honest, if my club was down there, I would do the same.
Agreed. I think it's, and I think all it takes is even not even a high profile player, a player to end up in hospital.
Exactly.
I mean, I know people say that, these players are fit and healthy, but this virus doesn't care who it attacks. And no matter how, fit and healthy you are with no underlying health conditions, if a player or even a member of coaching staff ends up in hospital, then surely all of that needs to be looked at. And, what happens to the Premier League? God forbid, let's say someone dies from this.
Yeah.
The Premier League will 100% get sued, because at the end of the day, you've brought this back. Players have objected to it, and now players, if a player dies, and I hope it never happens. I don't care. Even a Spurs player, I hope a Spurs player doesn't die either. Right? But at the end of the day, if something like that does happen, the Premier League will have blood on their hands, 100%.
One last question,
and don't forget as well. Don't forget Abdi Nouri, professional footballer. Had a seizure on the pitch. Mark Vivian Foe died on the pitch. Fabrice Mwamba was all but dead on the pitch until he had his life saved. Newsflash, they were professional footballers, some of the fittest men in world football. They died or have had serious life-changing experiences as a result of seizures or illnesses on the pitch that were not detected. This is a virus that we still don't actually fully understand. So to just say, oh, well, they're professional athletes, they're fit and healthy. Yeah, they are. Absolutely. It only takes, like Karl said, one player to have a bit of a cold that day, or have a low immune system that day, or, wasn't aware that they had an asthmatic condition, anything like that. And then you've got a real problem in your hands. So just saying they're all professional athletes doesn't wash for me.
One last question, 2 last things before we go. as a footballer, would you do what Troy Deeney is doing? Would you say, I'm not playing, I've got family, my family's more important? Because personally, if I was a pro player, I would say, see you later, I'm going to go off and live on a desert island somewhere because I'm not taking the fucking risk. I don't care. Money's not that important. Carl, what would you do?
I would do. Although Troy Deeney is an absolute prick and the biggest one there is, no cojones, I absolutely rate him. I would do exactly the same thing. He's got a brand new child at home who has breathing difficulties in hospital. It comes to a point where money's not that important. My health, the health of my family is much more than anything. So if I would do exactly the same, my family comes first. Money, when you get to Troy Deeney's level, money doesn't mean anything, and he could probably give up football and walk into a job at Sky maybe and live nicely. But it comes to a point where money's not that important, and you got to trust. The thing is, what I don't say, you got to trust the players. Now, you've already seen, like we said, Jack Grealish going out and mixing around, Kyle Walker having fucking sex parties and things like that. Sorry for swearing. You've got to trust the players that you're going to be on the football pitch with. If these players, the only thing they were told to do was stay at home, not go and fight a war on the front line, not go and work another job, they were literally asked to stay at home, and they couldn't do that. So how do you trust these players? I don't know. So for me, Troy Deeney, I have no problem with what he's doing.
Do you need to go, Josh?
I could probably stay for you to finally wrap this up.
Okay. So, going to ask you, then Kris is going to get an hour on it, and then I'm going to show you one picture, mention the sponsor, and we're done. Go.
Would I go back to be playing football? Yes, I think I would, to be honest. I think I'd miss... If I'd gone to the fact that I'd be going to training, then yes, I think I probably would. Because I'd play in the training ground where I'd trust my own club, basically, to have everything sorted, that I would be in a safe environment to practice, to train. And then I'd probably end up in the kind of peer pressure kind of thing that, well, we're all going, so we're all going kind of thing. And I'd be caught up in that. Rather than make any real decision myself.
Good, Kris. You have a team. You are a manager. You are a player. Your league's been shut down now, hasn't it?
Mm.
What would you do?
Well, that was the example I'm going to use. There's a very good chance that the Pirates won't be playing football again next season. So that should tell you all you need to know from my decision. Our league at grassroots level, we've got a league. We've got a league chairman, but we've also got a league. A guy who runs the league for the chairman, essentially essentially vice chairman, and he's overseeing the league, and he's actively trying to push players, teams to sign up. He's he's banging the drum that football will be back at grassroots level. That we'll be back by August and things will be back to normal. Utterly deluded. If you've ever played Sunday League football, you know what sort of conditions we play in. You know that there's communal showers. You know that the changing rooms are the size of a matchbox. You know that most Sunday League footballers are not the brightest sparks in the plug. Certainly don't adhere to often the most simple rules, let alone social distancing. I don't think half of them can even spell that. So the idea that Sunday League could be coming back anytime soon, I've been told quietly from a number of people that Parks football may well be a year away from coming back because it's just so hard to do. So if I was a professional and it was my living, it would depend how much money I was on, and it would depend on my family, but I wouldn't want to be coming back. There's a situation with a player at Charlton called Lyle Taylor, who was on Lee Bowyer was on Radio 5 the other day, basically stated, or the player stated to him, he's a player that has outgrown Charlton, and he's likely to get, or would like to get, a big move or to a higher club this summer, possibly a Premier League team. And he's outright said to Lee Bowyer that he doesn't want to play, and that he doesn't feel that he can commit because he wants to get this big move, and the manager's backed him, which I thought was like really unprecedented for a manager to back a player who's essentially said, "I can't give you the commitment." So, it just depends on your personal circumstances, I think.
Okie dokie, right. Just lift the mood a teeny bit. We'll be done in about a minute. I'm going to share a screen with you. If it works, share screen. diddly dong, here and this. As we can see here, some LT Arsenal tweeted Ozil 4 assists as well, and an Ozil fan account. But hey, let's go! And the LT Arsenal replied with, "Not in this game. In the last 2 years." Oh, trolling at its finest. Right, just finally mention that our sponsor for the show is playbookproducts.co.uk, playbookproducts.com. Go to their site, use Gooner Dads 20, get 15% off any purchases. Remember, not everything on the site that you see, if you get the wrong one, is available in the UK, because I've only just set it up. And if you want to be in with a chance of winning one of 4 mugs, just go to our pinned tweet of this podcast only, retweet it or like it, and then they will pick a winner. Because if I pick a winner, I'll have won all 4 of them. All that's left for me to do now is thank my wonderful guests. Thank you very much, Karl.
Thank you for having me.
You have been amazing. Have you got any messages for Mr. Fife or Mr. Ellis?
When Mr. Fife does eventually return back to work, unfortunately, it may be faster for him to walk, as I feel the need to delay him. I have no reason why to delay him. I just want to. And as I'm going to leave on a positive note for Ellis. He works for NHS, as everyone knows, and he has done absolutely outstanding work. You can't fault him. Ellis is a consummate professional. He's going to work, putting his life at risk every single day to help people. And, words can't express how proud of him I am. Every day going into work and every day seeing the scenes that he must be seeing. I know death is a part of life, but Ellis is putting his life at risk and going into work and helping people stay alive. And, the biggest thank you I can do to him is to not say #fuck you, Ellis, but it doesn't stop anyone else saying it.
I feel exactly the same way. So last Thursday, our wonderful, our beautiful, our darling Ellis tweeted, "I'm not clapping anymore." So I replied with, "Shut up and clap, you bitch."
To be fair, you should have all seen what John Welsh did when he heard clap for carers.
Oh, God.
It was me. Right. Also, thank you very much, Josh, for doing the questions, making us all weep at the Perlo thing, a man that we all admired, and just generally just being Josh, because you do it best.
You're all welcome.
Thank you very much. And Kris isn't even taking any notice. Look, at one point,
he's doing a squad builder challenge on his phone.
I'm actually not. Somebody just caught my eye, but no.
Lovely. Thank you for joining us, Kris. It's been lovely. Any plans for any football hipster stuff coming up soon? Because the numbers have been really, really good. Thank you very much for everybody who's been listening to the football hipster stuff. Such a variety of people, of topics, of subjects, and it's been really, really good, getting really good numbers for it, which is great.
Yeah, it's been really, really humbling actually for people to come back. So thank you all for listening, and being part of under the ABW banner. I think actually has helped us a bit, because it's a lot less. Not that we don't mind doing work, but it's a lot less sort of hassle doing it this way, and it works well with the same audiences. So yeah, thanks for the support on that. We're probably going to try and get together, hopefully at some point next week, if I can get the crew together. So yeah, we'll definitely be doing that. And I just wanted to, along the lines of what Karl said, just give a little mention to the D-Day anniversary, 76 years, I believe it is today, of the D-Day landings. It just kind of I just recently re-watched Saving Private Ryan. Strangely, it's just one of those films I haven't watched for ages. It is, and it just sort of makes you, times like these when so much is going wrong in the world, you do just sort of stop and go, Jesus, it's worth remembering how heroic some people have been in their current lives and past lives for our futures. So God bless to all those fighting men and women who were there for us in our desperate hour of need, and those that are still with us now. So yeah, just a little thank you to them. But we'll definitely be looking to pod next week as well. So thank you again for the tuning in, and pleasure to join you all, of course.
And thank you very much. And coming up shows, look how fucking organised I am, people. I'm doing this for you. Hope you appreciate it. Wednesday is Jason, Jeff Arsenal, Simon and Ellis, and possibly John, if he can get rid of the clap. Next weekend, it's probably going to be us lot again, either Saturday or Sunday, with another warm-up show. And then on Wednesday the 17th, post-game show live with Jason and a few others. That, people, is going to be a slobber knocker of a show. That has been the show. If you like this podcast, go to iTunes, give us a 5-star review. If you put anything less than a 5-star, I will send John round to give you the clap. And if you're listening on YouTube, give it a thumbs up. But if you put a comment in there, I'm going to try and encourage all of ABW to go and read the comments on Facebook and on the YouTube comments. I'm not going to say down below because you know where they are. Just put some comments in there. I read them all. I like them all. I reply to them all. So if you lazy fuckers can put something in there, I'll go and read it. So thank you very much for listening. It's great to be back, and we will see you again on Wednesday. So, up the Arsenal. Good night.